It's time for a couple of holy mackerel stories in today's news. One of the leading contenders for most fun-to-pronounce, reasonably sized city in America is the city of Kissimmee, Florida. It is even more fun to mispronounce, but we'll leave that to another time. Kissimmee is near Orlando on Florida's sort of east coast, and the congressional district that includes both Kissimmee, and the city of Melbourne that is not in Australia, is represented by a freshman Republican congressman named Bill Posey. Mr. Posey is what is known as a birther. Now, it has nothing to do with, midwifery or anything. A birther is a specific new breed of American conspiracy theorist who believes that the real problem with Barack Obama being president is that he can't possibly have been born in the United States. He's not eligible to be president. The birth certificate is a fake. He's a foreigner! Once this is exposed, I guess he will be run out of the White House and exposed for the alien, fifth columnist, communist, Muslim, gay, drug dealer, al-Qaeda member that he is, and then Lyndon LaRouche or whoever can take his rightful place in the Oval Office. Now, the birthers have repeatedly sought to have this issue addressed in court with no success thus far. The relevant authorities in Hawaii have said that President Obama's birth certificate is kosher, and the United States Supreme Court even told the birthers to get over it already when they ixnayed an emergency appeal to try to stop Obama from being sworn in. But sometimes with stories like this, the more you get told it's all made up, it's all in your mind, the more compelling it all seems. So perhaps it should not have been a surprise this week when Congressman Bill Posey introduced a birther bill in Congress, a bill that would change the laws of the United States to require a birth certificate from every candidate for president, presumably even one running for re-election. Also, maybe we should get one of those free credit reports on everybody, and also maybe a permission slip from Mom. Good luck with this maiden voyage in Congress, Mr. Posey. You are already making a name for yourself. Today was one of those news days with a little bit of everything. News that we're getting, finally, the president's strategy on Afghanistan, maybe as early as next week. We'll be talking about that on the show with Les Gelb in just a moment. We got news today that the Dow was up 4 days in a row. We got news of allegations against Maxine Waters that she allegedly improperly got involved in a bailout outlay to a bank that her family was linked to. We hope to have Maxine Waters on the show on Monday to talk about that. We got news today about the enemy combatant designation. We had news today about the bizarre turns in the last remaining undecided Senate race in the country. A little news about Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, turning down stimulus money. That crazy story about Bill Posey and the birther bill. And in the midst of all that going on today, the country still found time to click on the video link of Jim Cramer and Jon Stewart fighting it out on The Daily Show last night millions and millions and millions of times. Sources tell us that the Comedy Central website experienced a roughly 400% increase in traffic today. That has not happened since the last time Jon Stewart told Sarah Palin something that rhymed with cluck you. At the White House press briefing today, Press Secretary Robert Gibbs was even asked whether the president had seen the segment.
The president and I talked earlier in the day yesterday about watching it. I forgot to email and remind him that it was on, so I don't know if he's seen it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Despite, even as Mr. Stewart said, that it may have been uncomfortable to conduct and uncomfortable to watch.
Why did this strike such a nerve? Well, it was not the funniest thing that has ever happened on The Daily Show by any stretch of the imagination. It was essentially Jim Cramer sitting there getting pummeled and pummeled and pummeled by Jon Stewart. Not funny, haha, but apparently by the size of the firestorm and the amount of attention and the number of clicks this has gotten, apparently this has been deeply satisfying and deeply resonant for a country that is in economic freefall. Being in economic dire straits means there is an understandable search for villains and also a lot of serious, uncomfortable questions being asked all over the country about what happened to oversight and investigations and watchdoggery, not only in the government and in the business world itself, but in the business journalism world as well. The perfect overlooked punctuation mark to the story today is that while doing a Google News search on the words Cramer and Stewart would turn up more than 1,000 news stories about this clash, and rightly so. Meanwhile, while we were all riveted to the TV drama, the Washington Post quietly announced sotto voce today that it was eliminating its business section in the weekday paper. That's sobering.